Right, good morning. This is a new video. Quite a few people have been asking about wiring up microphones, seen it on Facebook, seen it on YouTube comments, and nobody seems to grasp the simple logic of how to wire up a microphone. So today, Uniden radio, customer's radio, as you can clearly see, it's well protected by some cloths, unlike other video makers who just chuck radios around all over the table with total disregard to somebody else's property. Somebody else's radio, that's a customer's radio, which I'm going to video today for how to wire a microphone. It's a Uniden, but it is also wired Uniden like Cobras, Superstars and Presidents 4-pin. This thing is my own, but it's a MAAS onboarded radio, so pretty much Midlands, Cybernet type radio. I'll use these two radios to wire up a microphone, which is generic junk microphone, straight out of the scrap box. Simple ways of how to wire a microphone, simple ways to work it out, all can be done in less than a couple of minutes. These people who make comments and say they've spent days and days trying to wire a microphone up, this is so easy. I don't know why people struggle. So I'll do the radios, and then yeah, hopefully you'll be able to wire a microphone up within a few minutes. Hopefully. So first thing, I've already peeled back the outer braiding. As you can see, you've got on this microphone you've got 4 wires. You've got black, red, typically the braid, which note is wrapped around this yellow wire. Your microphones might be different. You might have a blue, you might have a white, but for argument's sake we're using this microphone. So we know we've got TX, we've got RX, we'll have an audio, and we'll have a ground. Yep, TX, RX. RX is not always on all radios. RX is actually the sound coming out the speaker. But for these two radios, you need a microphone plugged in so you can hear the sound. That's the RX. TX, RX, modulation or microphone audio, ground. Easiest way to work them out. The braid is always going to be ground. Always. Braid is ground. 9 times out of 10, the braid will be wrapped around another wire. In this microphone, it's this yellow. Now, the yellow wire will always be audio, your TX audio. The reason why it has the braid wrapped around it is to obviously help with shielding. So the braid, or the shield, or the ground, is always wrapped around the audio. Pretty logic, really. You know, it's basic stuff. So there's 1 wire, ground. 2 wire, TX audio. These two are where they differ from manufacturer of microphones. Red could be TX, but it could also be RX sound. But black could be TX, but could also be RX. So what I'll do is I'll show you the simplest ways to work out which wires go where on a microphone. Okay, so we're going to use the Uniden as the experimental radio first. So there you go, standard generic 4-pin microphone plug. Now, how do you work out the wiring for it? Well, quite simple. Go onto the good old interweb and just type in up here CB radio mic wiring. It's not difficult. You want to wire a microphone, Google CB radio mic wiring. I chose the first result. Comes up with a list of radios. Now these are majority UK radios, export radios, but I'm looking for a Uniden. I could be looking for a President, I could be looking for a Cobra. So I look for Uniden. There it is. Pretty straightforward. So we've got TARC. T is for transmit, A is audio, R is receive, C is your common. Common, screen, ground. Pretty basic, straightforward, simple. So we go back to the radio, we transfer that. So we've got over there TX, audio, common, and that's receive. So can't really go wrong, but now we need to know how to wire the microphone to it, because again, not all microphones are the same generic pattern of colours. They are slightly different. So that's one way of working out your mic pins using the interweb. Not everybody's got the interweb, so if you're watching this on YouTube, I haven't got a clue how you're doing it without the interweb. If you're watching it on your mobile device, Teflon or you know, tablety thing, you've still got the internet. So there's no excuse. Google is your friend, as are many other search engines. Just Google or search mic wiring for a CB radio, and even put in the model which you've got. Chances are it'll come up. They're all pretty much the straightforward 3-4 types of wiring. So here we go. This is the radio. We're going to figure out how to do it now without the help of good old Google. Okay, the radio is turned on. As you can see, we're not on channel 19 because that's where all the idiots hang out, and today is no exception. It's full of idiots. So squelch is all the way down, volume is up, and I'm thinking, can't hear anything. I need a microphone. Now, there are a few simple ways to do this. Simple multimeter can be used. So I'll turn the radio off, I'll switch on the multimeter, and I use circuit tester, which is, if you can hear that, okay. So common, ground. I'll touch the outer casing there. Look, I'll try all the pins. Nothing. Oh, nothing. So I need to find which is a common ground. So another way of doing it, we'll try the ground of the power lead. In this case, it's the 2 of the double, which is this one here. Nothing. Ah, there you go. Remember the picture on the interweb? Common, ground. I've got the ground on the power lead. So we know that's common. Okay, we know that's common. So then what we do? We obviously know that's common. We've got the radio on. We need to know which is receive. Now, there's various ways of bodgers and hacks you can do. I mean, it's not hard. I'll just use a pair of tweezers, and I'll just touch the pins together. Nothing. Obviously, I need common. Common is the common wire. So I've touched them two. Nothing. Oh, I got the TX light come on then. Did you see that? Corner of the screen up there, look. So there is common, and that one up there must be TX. Okay, I still need receive. Oh, I've got some sound coming out the speaker. Bottom left. Can you hear that? So that one down the bottom left then must be the receive. Common, up there is TX. There's only one wire left, which is the top right. That must be the TX audio. Not all radios are the same, but majority are. You can figure them out. So we know we've got receive. We know them two there are TX. Obviously doing this into a dummy load, by the way, not into just fresh air. If I touch the common and the audio together, nothing will happen. So receive, TX, and up there is the audio. pretty straightforward. We know them. They're the 4 wires. Okay, so here's the microphone all prepared. Obviously your wires will be a lot shorter than this. This is just for the demonstration of the video. So, all been cut back, all been tinned. Now we know for a fact that this braid, or this ground, or this common, goes on this bottom right, just here. We know that because we've metered it out, and also the interweb tells us. So, the radio's switched off. I have to remember it's not my radio, so I've got to do it properly. And I need to wire it on there now. Obviously, it's a bit of a struggle with about, you know. So I'll just quickly solder this on, and then we'll figure out the rest of the wires. Okay, so remember, the radio's now upside down, by the way. So we said this was the common just here, upside down, remember. So common, so now we need to find receive. So we'll turn the radio back on, and remember which one was receive was the one next to it. Look, this one here, that one there was the receive. So I've got 3 wires. I need to know which is receive. Well, I know the yellow is going to be the audio, so nothing comes out of that. So red or black is going to be the receive. So I'll try the red one. Nothing. But why not? Okay, I'll try the black. There you go, black wire. That means black is the receive. To prove it, I put it on the pin, key the microphone, sound cuts out. Straight away I know that it's 100% that's the receive. But if I get the red wire and put the red wire on, I get nothing. But if I key the microphone, I still get nothing. That's a bit bizarre. There you go. So that means when I press the mic, the red wire makes a circuit. That means the red is the PTT. So we know the black wire. Let's do the black wire first. There you go, we've got noise. So we've got sound. Okay, we'll flip the radio back over. Remember, it's not mine, it's a customer's. So we need TX. And now I've got the mic cables all wrapped around my arse. Aren't I professional? Let me just plug this a minute. You can tell I don't do this every day. Right. So we've got the receive. And I'll put it there so you can see the TX light as well. I'll try and put it there. TX light as well. Look, there you go. So we knew from the Google that up there is the TX. So we know the red, we think it's TX. I'll put the red wire on it. And now looking at the TX. There you go, got TX. Only 1 wire left. Now, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I'm guessing the 1 pin left and the 1 wire left could be the audio. Mic gain is on full. 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. No audio. Yellow wire straight onto there. I suspect it's going to be audio. I might be wrong. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. There you go, folks. Simple as that. Simple as that. Okay, now we'll try the other radio. Now, I have not unwired the microphone yet. I'm going to plug it in, because this is another well-known post all over the interweb. Why, when I plug my mic in, does it not work in my radio? Well, probably because it's wired differently, and this is why. Straight into TX. But if I press the mic in, it unkeys. Okay, so we know the microphone's wired wrong. Now, if your radio's a Cybernet, now there's Uniden, there's Cybernet, stroke Maxon, and Cybernet is the second or the most or the biggest manufacturer of CB radios back from the 70s and 80s, along with Uniden. Not Cobra. Cobra have never made radios, apart from Dynascan back in the day, and even then it was more than likely being built by Uniden. So Uniden and Cybernet are the two major manufacturers of CB radios, and along with Maxon. Maxon is Midland. So Uniden, Cobra, President, they're all pretty much wired the same, apart from the 5 pins, and the modern day stuff with the 6 pin. Cybernet, 4 pin. Now if you put a Uniden microphone into a Cybernet, we know it goes into TX. That's because the TX and the RX wires are the opposite ways round. But also, I believe, are the ground and the audio. So as a cheap, quick hack, if you know you've got a Uniden microphone and it's going onto a Cybernet radio, just reverse the TX and the receive wire. So that black will go to red, the red will go to black. And on the other side, bearing in mind they have a cutout here, you see, so the cutout's at the bottom. Just swap over the ground to the audio and the audio to the ground. And that will work in a Cybernet now. So if you've got a Uniden, you just swap bottom to top, top to bottom, bottom to top, top to bottom, or depending, you know, wherever anyway, that's how you do it anyway. You just literally swap the wires over. It literally is a mirror image. And there you go, Uniden to Cybernet in 2 minutes. So right, we've got this radio. We believe it's Cybernet. We believe. I will go back to the good old interweb, because, you know, I don't format my hard drive every week and have to try and hide stuff. So it's on here. Consam is the radio, and it's actually not on here, look. There's no Consam. I have no Consam on there, so I'll have to guess. I'll have to guess this one. Now, I know what it is. I've got the cutout at the bottom. There's a little cutout. I need to find, obviously, the ground and the receive. So we know how to do that with a voltmeter. Voltmeter. Switch the radio off. We'll touch it on the negative. In this case, I'm going to use the wire off the power lead. There you go, top right corner, over there, look. And also the outer, look. So I could have just gone the outer, there you go. Top right is your ground. So there you go, that's pretty much straightforward. That is all you need to know how to wire the microphone for this radio. Top wire is ground. I'll get the trusty old microphone, we'll plug it in, I'll disconnect all the wires, and we'll work it out. Right, so I've got the plug in, we know that's the ground, that one there. So I'll touch this bottom to here. Nothing. This bottom one and the ground. See that? That tells me this bottom left here is TX. So that top there must be receive. There you go. Can you hear that? So dead simple, less than 30 seconds. Ground, receive. Bottom left, TX, see the light. That means that one must be the audio. We know what the mic is, we've already established that. We already figured out how to work out the mic. So we'll just do it dead quick, just to prove it all out. We know where the braid goes. So we know the braid goes on here. We know which one the receive was. If you remember, we worked it out by guessing. It wasn't that one, was it? It was, I'm guessing it was this black one here. There you go. And then we'll flip her over. We'll flip her over. Now, I just said that was the TX just down here, if I remember right. And that would mean that one there would be the audio. So I'm not putting it on yet. I'm going to show you the TX just to make sure we're right. There you go, that's TX. I'll put the audio wire on here after melting me rig.
One, two, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There you go. Simple as that.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
So there you go, everybody. That is how easy it is to wire up a microphone for a CB radio. Using the hack, pair of tweezers, screwdriver, and just touching the pins. You don't even need to use a multimeter, because you can still work it out without even a multimeter, because we'll use this roll of solder as a prop. It's the same thing. You've got to work out which wires are TX and the RX. Well, if you jab them together quickly, that bottom and that bottom there made it TX. Okay, so one of these two is TX. There's nothing there, and if I touch these two here, I get audio. Right, so I've got audio off these top two, but I've got TX on these bottom two. So now I'll just go corner to corner. There's nothing there. Ooh. But there's TX there. So straight away I know bottom two, one of them TXs. Top two, one of them receives. That way I get TX, which means out of those 3 pins, or those 4 pins, the one pin that's been used the most is this top one here. It's got to be the ground, because I get TX there, I get nothing there. I mean, I get a bit of sound. I get nothing there, look. I get TX there, loud sound there. So they must be sound, they must be TX. Well, they can't be, because I haven't got the ground. So that's the ground. So you've got to, okay. So remember, on this radio we can use the outer. Well, there's TX. There's receive. There's nothing. There's nothing. So that's just now told us that pin's TX. That pin must be RX. One of these two is audio or ground. And if you do that way, you get a nice solid TX. That way gives you a nice solid receive. You've got to work out that that's going to be your ground, that's your receive, that's your TX, and that bottom one there, it's got to be the audio. It's the only one left, it's got to be the audio. The theory works the same with your 5-pin DINs. It works the same with your 5-pin Presidents and Cobras. Find your ground first. You've got your microphone, you know the braid is always going to be ground. That is it, simple as. Meter, if you've got a multimeter, use it on the ground of your power socket. Sometimes you could probably get away with the metal casing of the mic or the radio itself, and just touch the pins till you find your circuit. That will always be the ground. And then just using the process of elimination with your wires, you can then work out which one's receive, which one's TX, which one is your TX audio. Okay, so of course, not all radios are 4-pin, some are 5-pin, some are 5-pin DIN, so on. But they're all pretty much the same theory. Now, you're going to have microphones that have got 5 wires, 1, 2, 3, 5. You're still going to have a TX, you're still going to have a ground, and you're still going to have an audio. That's inevitable. What are the other 2 wires? Well, one could still be the receive, and the other one could be a secondary ground for the audio. So one ground will be for TX, the other ground will be the audio ground. But how do you find them? Well, we've established where the ground is, that's where you solder your braid. You've established which your audio is, it's within the braid, so you put the audio on. Your radio will have either 2 pins left or 3 pins, depends on the radio. You can have 3 wires in your hand. So you use the same basic theory, 1 wire to try and find receive. You'll know if you've got receive because if you unplug your microphone, you have no sound, you need a receive wire. Some radios have got a built-in relay and you do not need a receive wire. So that's something else I'll answer. You don't always need a receive wire. So you'll put your receive wire, argument's sake, onto a pin, there'll be nothing. You'll put your TX wire onto a pin, there'll be nothing. Well, how do you know it's TX? Well, just key the microphone. Key the microphone and touch, for example, the red wire on the vacant pins till the rig keys up. If you find the rig's keyed up, unkey the microphone and watch if the TX light goes off. Then if you get another wire and you touch it onto the TX pin and the rig keys up, press the microphone and the TX light will go off. That's your receive wire. So we already established this earlier on in the video. So pretty much you can work out that you're going to have another remaining wire. That other remaining wire could be your TX audio. So put your TX wire on, put your ground on, put your audio on. Put your receive on if necessary. This can be the same on a 4-pin or a 5-pin radio, it works the same. You key your microphone, you've got no audio, but you've still got a remaining 5th wire. Put that onto the ground and see if you've got TX audio. If you have audio, solder that wire onto the ground wire. Usually on some of the cheaper power mics, that wire would be black. So you'd have a braid for ground. You'd have a black wire, which is your secondary ground for your TX audio. You'll have a yellow wire or white for your audio, and then you'll have a red, blue, purple, which will be TX and RX. Really straightforward, no messing. You know, I see a lot of people struggle with microphones. Yes, there are exceptions. There's microphones with 6 wires. Yeah, there's radios with 6 pins, but they're all up and downs, wires that are not even used. Believe it or not, I have seen microphones that have got 5 wires in, they only use 4. The wire's actually cut inside the microphone, but it's there to confuse you. So yeah, it's really pretty much basic, straightforward, simple. You can't really go wrong. Always check the interwebs if there's a mic wiring diagram for your radio. This radio hasn't got a mic wiring, but I know it's Cybernet. I know that. Also, don't just go in there straight away jabbering pins out like such, because some radios will carry voltage on these pins, and yes, you can cause damage. You can put a bit of voltage through a pin, like on the Anytone brand Quixang built radios. So some of the newer Superstars, Anytones and such like that, they actually have voltage on pin 4, and on the pin 4, if you short that out to the audio or down to ground, you can actually damage the radio. I've known people stick a Uniden wired microphone into an Anytone, and the receive wire, these two here, the receive wire goes straight down to ground. But on the Anytone, the receive wire is pin 4. That one there's got voltage on it. They put that straight down to ground, and it can actually burn out an inductor inside on the mic. Same with some of these 6-pin radios like the Albrecht and the Magnum 257s. They have a wire that's got voltage on it. If you go jabbering around, you can actually short out a very small surface mount little resistor on the board, which is an absolute pig to try and replace, especially when you've done it yourself and you don't want the customer to know you've buggered his radio up. On this one, for argument's sake, I've just jabbed all the wires together because it's my radio. I'll blow it up, I'll fix it, so I'm not really that bothered. But there is another way of how to figure out the wiring in your microphone, and that will come up now. So there you go, generic microphone number 1. Coffin mic, pretty much generic, basic, run of the mill. Everybody's seen them, a lot of radios have got them. So what we have here is your mic, your wiring, your PTT. Now, obviously this one's an absolute bugger, so I'm going to take all this red stuff off and show you how it's wired up. Okay, there you go. Look, I know the camera's crap. Buy me a coffee, you know, buy me a camera. Anyway, you can pretty much see it. You've got your PTT. So you'll always find on these, you've got to have a ground. We're down here, it's behind this great big thick red heat shrink there. Look, there is your ground. Another wire comes off this ground here, and that will go to the mic insert, because the microphone's got a ground on it. It's got to have a ground to make it work. So the other wire is your TX audio. On this microphone, it goes to this pin here, which is the push the mic. It's there. That wire goes to this yellow wire. Remember the yellow wire? The one that's surrounded by the braid? That is your TX audio. That goes down here, and somewhere in this cable it starts to be covered by the braid. So straight away we've now established, we know that yellow is TX audio, because that wire that, when it's touched together, keyed up, those two pins touch together, that goes to your element. On the other side of the microphone, you've got 3 wires. So when it's out, and I'm over here, aren't I? What are we doing over there? What a bell end. There you go. So when I'm out, in is TX, out is receive. When I'm out, I'm touching this black wire down to ground. Believe me, under this it is actually a braid and another bit of wire. So we know that's the ground. So that out is going to be receive, because it's not going to receive when it's pressed in, is it? It receives when it's released. So there's your receive, there's your ground, and the only wire that's left is this one over here, this red one. You press your mic in, that red wire touches your ground, that goes into TX, black wire goes into RX. TX, RX, we know RX is black, we know TX is red. You flip the mic over, your TX, you know the red goes to the insert, which is joined to the yellow. Yellow is TX audio. Whatever's left is the braid, which is under here, which is, there's the braid, and it's joined onto this black wire that goes to the insert, which is obviously the negative of the insert. That's probably another way of how to figure out the wiring of your microphone. But not everybody wants to take the mics apart. No, you know, not everyone wants to take the screws out. As you can see here, I took the screw out for the video and it snapped. This is how crap these Charman's quality mics are. I literally tried to unscrew it and the screw has snapped. So now I've got to take that out and put a new screw in. So, but it's all for the video, you know. I could sacrifice a microphone for a video. So there you go. That's it. Hopefully you've been educated. Hopefully you've figured out how to wire a microphone. Don't be asking me about certain radios and certain microphones. The interweb is there to help you. It helps you identify the radio, the pinouts of the radio. There are websites that will help you with the wiring of the microphone, the colours. Not every microphone is the same colour. Just remember that. If manufacturers were listening in the 70s and 80s and even in the 60s and they followed a standard, then my standard would be black would be receive, red would be TX, white or yellow would be audio, braid would be ground. Because red is hot, TX, black is cold, receive. You know, you kill your radio and the TX light comes on, it's red wire for TX. It's pretty much straightforward, but the manufacturers just like to screw your heads. They just like to mess you around. So there is no standard for the wiring. You've got to use a bit of common sense. You're going to know what wires are which. So enjoy yourselves, have fun. Hope you got yourself educated. I say, please don't be asking me about how to wire a certain microphone for a certain radio. Figure it out. It's fun. You'll enjoy it. And if it doesn't work and you bugger something up and you don't want it, before you chuck it in the bin or in the trash, just send it to me. I'll have it for free. Donations always greatly received. Like and subscribe. All that usual rubbish. Buy me a coffee. Not that I don't own my own kettle or anything like that. No, don't buy me a coffee. Just send me money. Send me money. Anyway, next video is going to be the customer's radio of how to set the receive up on a radio without a synad meter. So without spending stupid hundreds of pounds or dollars on a synad meter, which is totally unnecessary, I will show you how to tune up the receive on a radio without spending loads and loads of stupid money on synad meters. You don't need them. So, good day to you. I'll catch you on the next one. 73.